Hi, my name's Lynn, and we're talking about the Mafia Romance Readathon. So, this readathon is hosted by Jen at the Book Refuge, Jackie at First Lady Reads, Cheyenne, that tall book girl, and Jess at Honest Fiction. And so they are putting together this, I think it's 3 or 4 day weekend reading readathon of Mafia romance books. So they have a bunch of interesting stuff going on. I'm pretty sure there's reading sprints and all kinds of goodies going on. Very exciting to see where it is the whole week. You're accumulating, or weekend, however long it goes, you're collecting points to figure out what level of the mafia you're in. Are you a boss, or are you an enforcer, or are you a lowly pawn, or whatever the name is at the bottom? So I am very intrigued. It's a very interesting concept. You figure out how many points you accumulate based off of a bingo board and oddly specific prompts. And so the bingo board is pretty standard. I'm gonna reference my reading journal. This one is not very decorated, but there's things like age gap, very common, single parent, retelling, Costa Nostra, so stuff like that. That's very like standard mafia things. And then there's some not as standard mafia things that are mafia things in the oddly specific prompts. So things like women on the run, undercover or spy, interracial couple are things that we don't always see in these mafia stories. And so if you get it, you get a little bonus for finding those prompts. There are also 4 recommendations based off of each of our hosts. So those are Little Dove by Layla Frost, Twisted Pride by Cora Riley, The Bratva's Baby by Jane Henry, and When She Unravels by Gabrielle Sands. Of those, I'll probably only pick up When She Unravels by Gabrielle Sands. That's the most intriguing to me personally. But there are recommendations, and all of our hosts have been posting a ton of good recommendations. Jen's video is like, I think, an hour long of all mafia things. And so everyone's been helping you out with recs along the way. I do not need more mafia on my TBR. So I just pulled from the books that I was already have on my radar for this readathon. So first up, I have Nero by S.J. Tilley. This is a mafia that's not set in a typical mafia city. It is, I believe, in the upper Midwest. I want to say it's like somewhere like Idaho or Dakota or something like that, where it's like not a typical town. We normally associate mafia with Chicago, New York, Boston, those type of big cities. And so I believe it's in a very unique setting, but the rest of it's very similar to a traditional mafia, so I'm looking forward to that. Next, please don't shame me, but I haven't read Brutal Prince or any of the Brutal Birthright or Kingmakers books by Sophie Lark. I have read a couple of the Underworld series, but I will potentially be picking up Brutal Prince during this readathon. It's been one that I wasn't in the mood for it before I got uber hyped. And then I got uber hyped. And now I'm anxiously concerned that it's not going to live up to the hype, because it has blown up so much since I first heard about it, as well as Sophie Lark in general has blown up so much since I was first introduced to her and started reading the Underworld series. So we'll see. But that one is potentially on the TBR, as well as Lev by Belle Aurora. This one has a little bit of a vague synopsis. I don't really remember anything specific about it, but the general gist is our female is not part of the mafia. She gets entangled with the hero who is associated with a mafia or a crime family. I didn't get a ton of details, but it's been on my TBR for over 2 years, so we'll see what I actually think about it. Then I also am interested in Bloody Union by Brooke Summers. I heard about this from, at the time, Paperbacks and Planners, who has now changed her online presence to By Madison Fox. This is a booktuber that was really got started in the YA space and transitioned into romance, and now has kind of taken a step away from booktube because she is starting her independent author journey. She writes gamer romances, which are, the first one she only has her debut book out, but it's really good. I highly recommend it. But she recommended Bloody Union in a reading vlog way back when, and I found it really intriguing. Apparently, it is an arranged marriage or some sort of wedding component, and at the wedding there are two rival families, and basically it's a giant massacre, and about the only people that survive are the bride and groom, and they end up going on the run because I think both sides of the wedding think the other family is at fault and they want to have revenge by killing this couple or something like that. And so they go on the run and have this big romance involved with the mafia and trying to get stability back. So I'm very intrigued. I don't know a ton. Hopefully some of the things I am saying are right about any of these books, because I don't have any notes about any of them. I literally just have a title and an author name written down, so who knows what's true or false. Okay. Next up is A Bullet Between Us by Kay Dossel. I hope that's right. Dossel? I don't know. She was interviewed by Jen at the Book Refuge a couple months ago in accordance or with her newest release. That is, I think, the sequel to this book. And I really enjoyed hearing from her. She's Latinx. I believe she was, grew up mostly speaking Spanish, and so her English writing skills were a little behind, but she's always really been interested in writing. And so I really was intrigued and loved her story. She actually reminded me of a friend that I knew a couple years ago. And so I really wanted to support her, and I don't really know anything about the book, but I also know Tori from Novel Life, I think, read it and enjoyed it. So I'm excited to see what flavor of Mafia that one is. And then last up is Cora Riley. If you watched my May TBR, I am reading authors that are going to be at Authors in the Bluegrass, and Cora Riley is going to be there. I have read Bound by Honor, which is the first book in the, I think it's Bound series, and it was just okay. I can't remember if it was a 3.5 or a 4-star read, and I hadn't felt compelled to continue on. I will also say that this Cora Riley has a lot of interconnected books, and so you do need to be careful on where you start in her worlds, and I do need to figure out what the next book I should pick up is, if it is truly book 2 in the series or not. But I am going to try and read a couple more from Cora Riley. She is a staple in the Mafia romance space, and I think there is a lot of potential. I do know that I think it's Jen's pick for this readathon is Twisted Emotions, maybe? Let's check. Twisted Pride by Cora Riley, which is part of the Kimura Chronicles, which is, I think, one of the spinoffs. Again, there's a lot of interconnectedness of all of these Mafia books, but I do want to try and give Cora Riley at least one other chance to see if I will enjoy her writing. So this is the tentative game plan of what Mafia books I'll pick up during the Mafia Romance Readathon. As Tiff from Tiff Talks Pages / Neverland Pixie on Instagram always says, I want to leave space to be influenced, and I feel like I will be influenced by at least 1 or 2 books that I see around on the Mafia Romance Readathon. So anyway, thank you for hearing my rambles about these books that I know very little about other than it is a Mafia story, and I hope to see you in another video soon. I am hopefully making this a more regular part of my life. So if you enjoyed this, please stick around, and otherwise I will see you hopefully sometime soon.